It says in the Torah, if you see your enemy's donkey, yeah, there are two different stories, right? Either it's sagging under the burden, and then it's almost, it can die, it's suffering, and your friend is suffering because it's going to lose money. And also, yeah, there's another case of, then you have to do prika, you have to unload. There's another case where all the parcels already, all the packages fell on the floor, and the person is, first of all, feels embarrassed. That's what the Tiferes Yisrael explains. It's a loss of covet. That's what he says. He lost his dignity when he stands in the street looking like an idiot, and also may lose money because, you know, time is money. It's taking him time to load. So help him with your own body, nothing to do, not only because of money, just help him to load the donkey, or could be the car also. That's possibly true. So now it says in the Torah, kitire. What does it mean, kitire? If you see your friend's donkey, this and that happens to him, then you have to help him. Now the question is, how far can a person see? Baruch Hashem, very far. They say you stand in a tall building in Ramat Bet Shemesh, very tall. You can see the Mediterranean. So I was told, I never tried. Yeah. In other words, you can see very far. So what is the range? What is this distance that you have to start taking care of animals? Yeah. Let's say you see with the camera, you see an animal suffering in I don't know where, in Thailand. You have to fly to Thailand. Well, where's the limit? Where's the limit? Where does it start? Where does it finish? Frag the Gemara, the Braise, Yochel Afilu Merochoik. Let's say you drive down and you see from very far away, you see an animal under its burden, you also have to help it? Yeah, then is that so? Says the Torah, no. Talmud Loimer, look at the other pasuk. The other pasuk there says ki tifga. Ki tifga means when you meet, or maybe even physically when you hit it, when you meet, not lifgoa to hurt, but when you mamish face it. Says the Gemara, iki tifga yochel pgia mamish. Okay, I understand. To meet means closer, not to see from afar. But if so, do you want to tell me that only when I mamish bumped into the suffering animal under the burden, only then I have to help, right? In other words, the Torah is giving us, as if the Torah is giving us two different standards: what I see and when I meet. Seeing can be very far. Meeting is literally when I collide. So what do we mean? Talmud Lomer Kitira. It also says you see. So what's going on? Is it seeing or is it meeting? Says the Braisa, reconciling. When is it considered that you see it and you meet it? That's an interesting question. In other words, when you say I met someone, you don't mean to say I met him when he was, 5 kilometers away. But when we say I met him, doesn't necessarily mean I bumped into him, in the middle of the street. Yeah. So what does it mean when you say seeing that is meeting? Which distance are we talking about that would obligate the person to take action? What is the minimum distance that is required, or maximum distance, actually, in this case? Sheru Chachamim were Mishayach, Chachamim estimated, they estimated the distance, and they said, Echad Misheva Umechza Bemil. Yeah, if you take a mil is 2,000 ames, and you divide it to 7.5, 2,000 divided to 7.5 is 266 point something. Of course, I knew it myself. The other calculator knew that, all them, unfortunately. Yeah, in other words, 266 point something, that amos, yeah, that is, yeah, a mil divided to 7.5, and that is 266. By the way, it's very easy to remember, even I can remember, because it says now, v'zehu ris, the amount of the distance of 266 amas has a name of its own. Yeah, like you have kilometer, you have a mile, you have feet, you have acre. So this one is called ris. However, there's another version that calls it rus, resh vav samech. How much is resh vav samech in numbers? 266. Cool. How much is it in meters? Be'erech half, more or less half, because an amma is half a meter. So if you see your friend's donkey suffering and you are 133, more or less 130 something meters away from it, I'm sorry, I don't know anything except for meters, I'm Israeli. So then you have to help it. But further than that, you're not mechuyev. It would be nice if you can, if you have time, if you want to really be helpful. But lamaisa, there's no chiyuv if it's further than that. Okay? Tana continues the brisa, and this is the last and final brisa regarding pre-cantina. And then I'll give you a little summary. It says in the brisa, "Umedade imoy ad parsa." Ledadot means in Shabbos and also here So basically, like you do to a baby that starts walking, you hold it while it's staggering. Yeah, you sort of like hold it with your hand, maintaining its walk. Yeah, however it's called in English. Yeah, so that's called ledadot. Ledadot really means to stagger. Yeah, the baby is not so stable. You hold it, by the sides to, to toddle, like a toddler. Ah, that's a toddlers. Are called toddlers. I didn't know that. Oh, thank you for the English class. Okay, so very nice. Says toddling along. So midadi mayad parsa. Yeah, you take him to Regent's Park where he toddles. So midadi mayad parsa. Now, what does it mean midadi mayad parsa? Oh, we're losing sight here. Midade imayad parsa, which means you have to give the maintenance, the follow-up service, which means Machlokes Rashi Tosfos, if you're talking here about Prika or Te'ina, we'll discuss it soon. Conceptually, first of all, when the animal, let's say, is now back on its feet, okay? Let's say the animal fell, well, Prika, okay? Then now you have, what did you do? You did it for free, the Prika, and then you again loaded it nicely, you unloaded it, very nice. Now, what do you have to do again? Says the Shulchan Aruch, and this is something which I want to, which summarizes the whole thing. Prika and Te'ina usually come together. Why? Because what does Prika mean? The animal is sagging, it's going crazy, it's going to die, suffering. Oh, yeah, yeah. Where's the RCCPA? Oh, the animal's suffering, and the man is losing and everything. Unload it. Well, excuse me, don't leave him like that. It doesn't really help him. The animal is now happy running around. He has to get to the other town with his parcels. So usually, and Shulchan Aruch says that I was happy to see that in the first part of the first sif, he says you have to unload and then load again, which is teina. Load it properly, load it in a way that will not make the animal suffer. Load it in a good way. Now, you can't just say, "Oh, I'm in a rush," and a second after you loaded it again, say, "Bye, I'm sorry, I'm in a rush." No, no, no. You have to give it, so to speak, maintenance, follow-up service, like every good Israeli, company, right? Yeah. In other words, you give it the follow-up. What do? You walk with it and you make sure that it doesn't fall again. Up until what stage? Listen to this. Up to what distance? Ad parsa. Wow. Parsa is 4 million. 4 million is 2,000 amas, which means together 8,000. 2,000 times 4 is 8,000, right? I know. So 8,000 amas, which is, about 4 kilometers. Perich. I'm saying it's less or more. So 4 kilometers, you have to walk with the animal to make sure, and you're not even the owner. Now that's a lot of work because you have to walk quite a distance. Yeah. Continues the Gemara. For that, you're allowed to take money. Says Tosfos. I'm not going now to Machlokes, but says Tosfos. Let's go into Tosfos. Tosfos says we're talking here about a person who did prika, right? Now, prika has to be done for free. Remember Tanakama? Te'ina, yeah, you do for money. Yeah, to help you load is less important for you. I'm saving you from embarrassment, for indirect, maybe it's not so bad to be on the side of the road and everything is on the floor. You can do it yourself. I'll help you. That you can charge money for as a helper. Mashain can prika, we say, that's aloha, to unload from a dying animal, a suffering animal, and the person is losing, it's much more of a catastrophe, that you have to help the person for free. Says the Gemara. Now, although the original prika did for free, but the maintenance, the 4 kilometers you have to walk with it ahead, that's much more work, and it's not as necessary. That you have to do, and if you may demand money for that. In other words, the prika itself, you don't ask for money. That's the basic. You have to be humane enough to do it not for money. But the after service, the follow-up service of walking, even of prika, that you have to take money for. I want to summarize, unless, is it, your question is what we just said now? Yeah. Very good. Oh, no, it's not double money. Very nice, nice. The loading you take money for. Oh, the Nimuk Yosef says, even there's something very very smart, obviously. He says even when you loaded it for free, yeah, but Lamaisa, the walking you take money for. You know why? Because why do you walk with the animal? To make sure it doesn't fall. So avoiding prika is like prika. That's a chiddush. Just like prika itself, if it's going to fall, if it will fall after 100 meters, I'll have to do it for free, right? So I would say the chiddush is that avoiding the prika, I do take money for. That's a chiddush. I'm working with it to make sure that it doesn't fall. Well, I would say do it for free. You should like that because that's a chiddush, right? Kamash Mala, no, that you do even for that you do for money. Yeah, we view it as part of the teina, not as part of the prika. Therefore, because you can look at it both ways. It's right now walking with and it things nice and steady. But why am I walking with it? Am I bored? Am I working in a in an amusement park with the animals? No. I want to make sure it doesn't fall. No, doesn't fall mean what? I'm avoiding prika, right? Maybe I would say do it for free. Kamash Malan, the entire walk, the long walk to avoid prika, we do take money for. But it's a chiddush. It's a chiddush because it's not mamish prika yet. Prika would have to do for free, but avoiding the potential prika, which is after the last teina, that I do for free, that for money. That's chiddush. Teina can take also money for, yes. Toises wants to say, let's say it was just prika. Let's say I did prika. You're saying good. Let's say there was prika, and you're saying any other was teina afterwards. I hear. No. Very good. I'm sorry to stop you. If you see Taisus, it says Nachon. Sometimes though, there's only Teina. Very good. Like what you're saying, you're 100% right. Sometimes Teina is alone. Why? Let's say, see the guy, the animal is okay, just it fell off, shlamazel, fell off something. Then I just load it. There's no prika, only Teina that I do for money, right? And that says Toisfus, to maintain the animal after that, says Toisfus, of course I can take money. If the teina itself I take money, of course the extra frill, the superstar 5-star service to do afterwards, of course I can take money for that. That's what Tosa said. And Echanam, you guys are right. If Prika is involved in the process, I would say, wait, really, the main thing is Prika. So maybe Prika is for free. Also, the maintenance post Prika also for free. Kamashman, we don't say that. Okay. Now, summary about Tzar Ba'alechaim. Okay, so I had a bit of a search. I wouldn't say the deepest in the world. I looked here and there, Rishonim, also Nachronim, who summarize the Rishonim. Till today, I'm sorry to tell you, Tafshin Pei Beis 2022, the issue is not resolved. Big machlok is still today whether Tzar Ba'alechaim is the Orais or the Rabbanon. Yeah, you pick your choice. No. So now, it's Pashtus Mashma from the Mechaber in, let's start with the Shulchan Aruch. In the Rishonim, there's big discussions. Let's go down to Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says that the reason why you have to help a goy with his animal, it's a goyish animal, goyish everything. Yeah, the goy is the driver, the goyish, the animal is a goy. Everyone's a goy. You still have to help it. Why do you have to help it? I would say, Tzar Ba'alechaim, the animal miskina. Says the Mechaber, no. The Mechaber says only because of Eva. Oh, Mashma, he believes it's only the Rabbanon. The Ramah says, no. The Ramah says you have to help the animal regardless of Eva. Even if Tim McKenzie will love you just as much, Lamais is still, you have to help. Why? Because of Tzar Ba'alechaim. So superficially speaking, looks like the Mechaber says the Rabbanon and the Ramah says the Oraisa. However, in Ilchis Shabbos, it sounds like the Mechaber is more Machmir, and the Mechaber says you have to avoid Tzar Ba'alechaim even if you are going to be over in Muktzeh. Yeah? In other words, let's say you have your own animal. Animals are Muktzeh. We all know that. Dog is a muktzah, cow is a muktzah, live animal is a muktzah. Now, let's say your animal would suffer unless you do medade. Let's say you have to walk your animal, yeah, help it toddle, yeah, like that. And you should do that on Shabbos, says the Mechaber. Wow, why? Says the Mishnah Berurah, which most Ashkenazim follow. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Tzar Ba'alechaim is the Oraisa, and Muktzah is the Rabbanon. So Tzar Ba'alechaim trumps the Isur Muktzah. And the same Mishnah Berurah at the end of Shin Mem, I saw it yesterday night. I was so happy because I knew there's a vague Mishnah Berurah. I took the Mishnah Berurah as a bedtime reading and I saw it there. The same Mishnah Berurah says if a bird in your house and the bird flies in, ever happened to you? Big bird, and the bird starts breaking stuff, starts breaking kalim. He says you're not allowed to take the bird. Let's say you can catch it. Let's say you're not allowed to catch it, and all your kalim will break because muktzah is so severe. So see, muktzah is so severe, your own kalim you're going to lose. Your own dishes, yeah, your own nice, Chinese, whatever, China set, vases, but you mean vase. But lemaisa, when it comes to the animal suffering, then you do take it. Wow, not Seder, but if it's muktzah, you're allowed to take it. So we see Mishnah Berurah, the way he learns the Mechaber, Tzar Ba'alechaim is the Oraisa, and so in another sefer, the Mishnah Berurah believes Tzar Ba'alechaim the Oraisa. Now, there is a big difference though, and I think that's the answer to the mechaber. Depends if the animal is yours or not yours. Oh, that may be the answer. If the animal is mine, I think that's how I answer the mechaber. Maybe I'm wrong. In Ilchis Shabbos, it's my animal, my responsibility. I have to avoid suffering and maintain it well. If it's Mackenzie's animal, oh, no hard feelings, or even Chaim Yankel's animal on the expense of Shabbos, then maybe view it as the Rabbanon, possibly. And by the way, excuse me. Yes. No, that's because walking the dog is not muktzah because they're not touching it. That's why they're not carrying it. That's why it's so. But to feed, feeding your own animal is allowed, and not other people's dogs. Let's say that's also true. Now, and there's also a difference regarding the Rasa Rabbanon whether it's real pain or discomfort. Big issue, but till today it's a shaila. But when Mishnah Berurah says when it comes to Shabbos, if you have an animal, if you own an animal, I'm not a pasuk halacha, not a halacha shir. I'm giving you a general picture. When it comes to your own animal, for sure, it's most probably 99% it's doraisa, and you avoid the animal suffering if it's your own animal. For sure, other people's animals, you also avoid the suffering, but maybe not as much. Okay. Yes. There's the last Mishnah, last but not least. Let's try and finish the parak. And we have this beautiful Mishnah all about different values of honor. Who do you have to honor more, your rabbi or your father? Says the Mishnah, Avedosoi v'avedas oviv. Let's say a person lost an item and he can start looking for it, searching for it, salvaging it. And also his father also lost a valuable object. Who should he deal with first? His own Aveda or his father's Aveda? Look at this. Avedosa Kedemis. You deal with your own financial loss before you deal with your father's financial loss, and the Gemara will explain why. First of all, I want to just tell you, when it comes to Kibbud Av V'Eim, there's a big machlokes in Kiddushin and Halacha. Do you have to serve your father, help your father, feed your father, give him to drink, give him whatever from his money? The mitzvah is to serve him his food and you're just being servile, or is the mitzvah to give it from your own money? Okay, says the Tiferes Yisrael, the mitzvah is to serve your father from his money, not necessarily from yours. In other words, the mitzvah of Kibbud Av doesn't mean that you have to give money to your father. It could be better, but not dafka chiyuv. And here too, we're going to see also another reason in the Gemara, you don't have to spend money necessarily for Kibbud Av, although they will be discussed in the Gemara. Avedosa v'avedas raboy. Let's say you lost something and your rebbi. What does your rebbi mean? Ooh, big discussion. You and your rebbi both lost something. Shaloi koidem. You have to take care of your own aveda, your own financial things before your fathers and before your rebbis. That is you against them. You come first, as we're going to explain in the Gemara why. Now comes, the runner-up, Avedas Aviv, Avedas Raboy. My father lost some money and I can help him retrieve it. And also my rabbi did. Who goes first? Shalabai Kodemis. Conceptually, the rabbi goes first before the father. Why? Says the Mishnah, first wide line, very monumental line here. My father always used to say to me, the father brought him to this world. And his rabbi who taught him Chochmah, remember the line, the rabbi who taught him Chochmah brought him to Olam Haba. The whole existence in Olam Hazeh is only just a corridor to come to the room, to the real deal of Olam Haba. So the rabbi brought him to Olam Haba. Now I have a few questions here. First of all, what happened if his father taught him Torah? It doesn't apply, right? Of course. If his father is his rabbi, then there's no competition because his father is the main rabbi and the other rabbi is minor. Secondly, says the Tiferes Yisrael, and I was happy to see that, the Tiferes Yisrael, the Perush and the Mishnah says, we're talking about a father who did not send his son to learn Torah. Let's say the father did not pay for him to learn Torah. The father is not rich, whatever other people paid. The father is not such a pro-Torah person, maybe that could be. Then it's the father versus the Rebbe. But if the father is the one who sent him and paid for his tuition, right? Tuition fee in America is crazy high. I know, they all talk about it, right? So let's say the father paid high tuition fee or low tuition fee to what? To how shall I say it? To basically supply his son with Torah. Then really the father comes first. Here it's a father who did not send to learn Torah versus Rebbe who taught Torah. It's one or the other. Yeah, there's collision here. Then the Rebbe comes first. The Rebbe comes first. The im aviv chochom. Let's say the father is the chochom. The father himself is a Talmid chochom, not a Rebbe, but the father is also a learned person. The father is erudite. Shel aviv kodemes. If it's both his father and the father is Talmid Chacham, although he's not his rebbe, that is stronger than his father's ability comes first before the rebbe. My question is why? Who cares that the father is a Talmid Chacham? The one who taught him Torah and brought him to Olam Haba is the rebbe, not the father. Says it to Tiferes Yisrael. Tiferes Yisrael again helps me, and he says if the father is Talmid Chacham, in 99% of the cases, he taught him some Torah. The mitzvah is v'shinantim levanecha. You should know the school system is b'di'evet. So much fun to say. The school system is b'di'evet, says Rav Scharish. Why? V'shinantim levanecha. You should teach your son. That's a mitzvah. You don't have time. You don't have the ability. You don't have the thing. There's a system in Srad Chinuch. The Shulchan Aruch says in Ilchas Nedarim, the school system, the rebbe is a messenger, is a shliach of the father. But we assume a father is the chacham, also taught his son Torah. Then being a father and being some kind of rebbe trumps the rebbe who's not your father. Okay, that's the second case. Now, some Rishonim said this is only true if the father and the chacham are of the same Torah level. Equal, very good. Then we say you tend to the father's aveda first. Second case, there are three cases here. Second case, both the father and the rebbe, each one separately, they're both carrying a heavy burden, and he wants to help them. You see here, by the way, some Rishonim say that prika applies not only to animals, prika applies to human beings as well. Don't laugh what I'm about to tell you. Some people say when you help a friend who is suffering physically, it's tzar b'alechaim. People, you say it as a joke, it's not. In other words, human beings are better than animals. I mean, nowadays, I know liberal people don't like to hear that. Such an extreme right-wing class. It's only because of this right-wing government that people can talk all these, phonetic kind of talk, so dark. So then, Bekitzer, human beings are more than animals. If you help the donkey that's suffering, all the more so you help your friend who's sagging under the burden. Now, father and rebbe, each one separately is sagging under a heavy burden. Who should have helped first? Again, meniach es shel rabbi, achakach meniach es shel aviv. Meniach first, put down, help your rebbe, put down the heavy bags from the supermarket, help the rebbe first, and then shel aviv. And here, by the way, it doesn't say here that that the father, if the father is equal, you treat the father first. You know why? Says it to Tiferes Yisrael, the second case is not so much about physical suffering, it's more about shame and lack of dignity. The father and the other guy are schlepping something on the back, it's not pasnished, it's not respectable, yeah? So to help the kavod the Torah goes before the father, yeah? To help your father, by the way, you should know, kibud av is what? Kibud av is to feed, machil, mashkim, mechnes, moitzi, to help him, to put a blanket on him, to feed him, to carry things like that, yeah. But it's more of physical things. It's more physical things. Mashain can the cover the Torah is more about dignity. Here, because the second case of mission is about dignity, so the Rebbe always goes first. Third case, both his father and his Rebbe were captured. They're both in captivity. They're both in jail, and he has to pay ransom for. He only has $1 million and not two. And those, mafiosos, they demand 1 million. They're very cheap. First, you redeem your Rebbe, and then, if you have enough money, you collect for the father. And again, if the father was chacham, if the father was also a learned person, so here it doesn't say it has to be equal to the Rebbe. Here, the father, the third case, even if the father is less than the Rebbe, you help the father as long as the shtick talmid chacham even less. Why? Because here we're talking about physical suffering. When they're in jail, when they're in captivity, they're suffering physically. The physical needs of your father come before the Rebbe. Yeah, again, unless the father is complete Amoritz and the father never sent you to learn Torah, and only the Rebbe, then the Rebbe always goes first. But if it's an iffy situation, maybe this, maybe that, then we say that the father goes first because physical suffering, you avoid the father first. And the second case about carrying the suitcase or carrying the bags, that was more of a dignity thing. And there, you always help the Rebbe first. So says the Tiferes Yisrael. And that's why there are three cases. Yeah, case number one is Aveda, it's just about money. The second case is about dignity. Schlepping in the street, this heavy thing is not mechubad. And the third thing is about physical suffering. And there, the father goes first, unless the father is really completely not like the Rebbe, never sent you to learn Torah, and only the Rebbe helped you for Olam Haba. Says the Gemara, I try not to be North Korea, but it would be really, really like to finish the parak today. It would be nice to start tomorrow the third parak. Whoa. Says the Gemara. Minani Mili. How do you know? How do you know that you can be so selfish? How do you know that if I have my Aveda and my father's Aveda, Kibud Av, I deal with my Aveda before my father's Aveda? If it's me versus Rebbe, I deal with my Aveda before the Rebbe who taught me Torah, Olam Haba. Who told you that? Says the Gemara. Answers the Gemara. Omar V'Yuda Omar Rav, Omar Ko. The Pasuk says, Efes kilo yebecho evyoin. The Torah basically tells you have to give tzedakah, right? Loan, give tzedakah. However, which Pashup Pshat means there shouldn't be a poor person amongst you. You should make sure that whatever happens, Ephes. But, however, there shouldn't be a pauper amongst you. But the drasha is you, when you give tzedakah, make sure make sure that by giving tzedakah and helping others, you don't become poor. You don't get poor as a result of helping people too much. As we darshan, shilcha kodim l'shel kol odom. You have to take care of your own needs before you take care of the needs of others. So, and mimela, even if it's my father, wow. Even if it's my rebbi, wow, wow, wow. Nevertheless, kol odom, any person, even a person mechuyev in kibud of or kvod rebbi, still I'm mechuyev or I'm allowed to or should actually take care of my own needs first so I don't become poor. However, big disclaimer. However, the Omar V'Yuda Omar Rav, he himself who said the statement makes, basically he's limiting his statement and he says, Kol mekayim b'atzmekach sof b'alidei. Whoever is mekayim, whoever is too careful to always take care of his own needs before the others, eventually he'll become poor. Says Rashi, very interesting Rashi, says Rashi like this. If a person is medakdek, if the person is very particular, and it's not clearly evident that by helping the other person you will lose. Let's say my Aveda is about 100 shekels, and my father's Aveda is about 100 shekels, yeah? So it's not so clear I'm losing, yeah? Let's start the other way. Let's say my father's Aveda is 500 shekels, and mine is 100 shekels, right? So obviously, yeah, I can help him 500 shekels, much, much more than mine. And also, maybe I'll also be able to help my Aveda after his Aveda. I'm not sure I'm losing my Aveda, my money, then don't be medakdek and make a cheshbon. Wait. Don't start penny pinching and go into the small money. If you're medakdek, yeah, and you say, wait, his is 99 and mine is 99 and a half, you're medakdek, you start, going into the small details and start being particular, making sure, I'm losing half a shekel. I'm losing 10 shekels because I'm helping him. Maybe I'll be late to work because I help him. If you do that, you'll become poor yourself. In other words, you still have to be generous and have to make sure that you help others, and you may sometimes lose. If you know you're going to lose, then help yourself first. But if it's a suffix, and it's just being medakdek, then help others first. Rashi adds, and Rashi says, if a person is always medakdek, if a person continuously is a perpetuous dakdekan to always make sure to never lose but doing tzedakah, he's oirik me'ol of gemilas chasadim. He'll never do gemilas chasadim because maybe he's going to lose, right? He'll hardly ever do gemilas chasadim because it's really selfishness in a frum levush. It's selfishness, disguised in frumkeit. Chaycha koidmim. Somebody who tells you all the time chaycha koidmim is a selfish guy who knows how to quote the Gemara. Basically, that's what the Gemara says. And at the end of the day, he'll become poor himself. Lo leinu. He's poirakoil. Let's not be medakdek. I think, how generous. Okay, yes, parents. Now, hoya ovi v'raboy noisin masui. Okay, so who do you help first? You help your rebbi first. The $1 million question is, who do you call your rebbi? How many shurim have you been to that's daf yomi? How many people taught you in school? Gemara, many. At least 4 or 5. Yeah. How many people taught you in yeshiva? Many. Who is your rebbi? Will the real rebbi step up, please? Rabbi she'omru, the rabbi that's mentioned in the Mishnah vis-a-vis helping him before my father, he has to be more than the father. Wow, who is that? Rabbi Shalim de Chochma. That's Rabbi Shalim de Chochma, says Rashi outright. Chochma is Gemore. Rashi says 3 times in this daf, very, very strongly, that the only real Chochma is Gemara. People only learn Chumash and Mishnah, they're losing a lot. The real Chochma that ties everything together, that explains to you the Torah and the Mishnah on how to be a Yid and Halacha, is really Gemara. So the rebbe who taught you Gemara, assuming your main Gemara rebbe, yeah, below Rabbi Shalim the Mikro Mishnah, not the rebbe who taught you Chumash and Tanakh and Mishnah. With all the respect to my rebbes from Kita Beis Gimel, you know, they taught me very nice. It was actually a woman who taught me Chumash, and what and Mishnah was a man. Very nice. They are not my rebbe, Divrei Rabbi Meir. That's what Rabbi Meir says. Your Gemara teacher, the one who introduced you to real Chochmah. And by the way, the Gemara later on will say Rabbi Shalim the Chochmah, and we know the real Chochmah is Gemara. That is also mentioned in the Mishnah. If you look at the first wide line of the page, which is the beginning of the Mishnah here, Rabbi Shalim the Chochmah, that's the real Rebbe. That's Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, no. Kol sherav Chochmah soy himenu. Whichever Chochmah you have, be it Chumash, be it Mishnah, be it Gemara, be it Kabbalah, be it whatever you know, whoever taught you most of what you know is your Rebbe. Let's say the guy is a real star in Mishnayos and doesn't know Gemara. You know such people. So this guy really knows Mishnayos, and that's all he knows. Who taught him Mishnah? Who's his main Rebbe? Whoever is his main Rebbe of his knowledge, that's the one that supersedes, so to speak, the father, overrides the father. Opinion number 3, Rabbi Yosi. A third opinion, Rabbi Yosi Omer, afilu lo hir'einav ela b'mishnah achas zehu aboy. Even if he just, how do you say, he like lit his eyes. If he sort of, not inspired. No. More than learned. He taught him like boom. He gave him that aha moment of understanding something in the Mishnah, which means, let's say there was one Mishnah which you found very, very difficult, as we're going to see examples soon, or the examples coming now. And one person was lit your eyes, and all of a sudden that person, because of his information he gave you, you understand the Mishnah. Yeah, coming up soon. Then we say that he's your Rebbe. Yeah, let's say you sit down and you break your head. The art scroll is locked up somewhere because I locked it up. Let's say, and that person who may be your equal, he may be your peer, maybe even less than you. And by the way, that's also Mishnah and Ovis, Rav Yaakov. It's Achitophel and David, very good. If he taught you one Mishnah, then he's your Rebbe. I want to tell you something interesting that I saw in the Rishonim. I think the Rashba, I saw a lot of Rishonim here, I don't remember who says what. He says, everyone agrees, listen to this, that if somebody taught you one Mishnah, which without him you're unable to understand, that's shot, yeah? Let's say he was the key, he was the one who opened it for you, opened your mind to that, then of course he's considered your Rebbe and you have to respect him. Everyone agrees to that. The only reason why Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda require higher standard is because here we're not talking about any Rebbe. What are we talking about? Rebbe that's more than your father. That's the question. Get it? In other words, the question is to be a Rebbe and override the father. Wow, that has to be some Rebbe. That's why Rabbi Meir says it's only your Gemara teacher, and Rabbi Yehuda says the one who taught you most of your Torah. Rabbi Yossi says no. Rabbi Yossi says just like you guys agree that any Rebbe who taught me even one Mishnah, which was like closed, and he opened it for me as a Rebbe, so too regarding being more than my father is also my Rebbe. That's how the Rishonim explain. Omarove. Now, on the same token of explaining a Mishnah, a Rava gives an example from his own life about a certain Rebbe that he had. Kigon Rav Schoira. I see Rav Schoira, that's the name of an Amora, I see him as my Rav. Why? The Asberan Zuhama Listeroin. There's a term in the Mishnah in Kalim, in Tyrus, Zuhama Listeron, and he didn't know what Zuhama Listeron, and you know who explained to him what Zuhama Listeron is? Rav Schoira, because Rav Schoira explained to him one term. Look, one term. You know what's Zuhama Listeron? One term he explained to him, and he's ready. Zuhama Listeron is a ladle that you place that ladle in the soup or in the broth in order to collect the froth that's a bit grimy that collects on the sides of the thing. Yeah. What? Scarf. Okay. English class today. Absolutely fabulous. So then, whatever it's called in British English, I'm sure many interesting words. So then, the Zuhama Listeron, Zuhama is dirt. Listeron means to the side. The item that takes the zuhama, the dirt, to the side, there was a special spoon just for that, and the one who explained it to him is Rav Schoira. One term. And because of that, he already treats him, with respect and and with deference because he's his Rebbe. Only just because of that, even more than his father, according to Rabbi Yossi. Now, Shmuel. Another similar story. Shmuel Koramani. Shmuel tore his clothes. When do you tear your clothes? Lo leinu. When father's nifter, mother nifter, brother, sister. It's a different type of kriya, by the way. And also, if one's rebbi was nifter, he has to tear. Yeah, Rav Avadia, a lot of people did kriya. So Koramani, Shmuel tore his clothes after the death of Aleh Umer Rabbanon. The Asbere, he tore his clothes after the death of one of the Rabbonim who explained to him, the Asbere, the following Mishnah. What does the Mishnah say? It really is a complicated Mishnah. The Mishnah says, okay, now this needs explanation, and that took us a long time. Okay, so whiteboard time here. Okay, so this is a bird's eye view of a very general bird's eye view of the Holy Temple. You know, in Jerusalem, there used to be a Holy Temple. Yeah, heard of that? So, so now the Heichal, this is Kodesh Kadoshim. This is the Heichal, the inner building. In front, this entire area is called the Ulam. Now this is the Heichal. The Heichal has doors. Yeah, these are the doors of the Heichal, and one has to open the doors. The Kohanim, yeah, one Kohen, according to Hagrala, he would open the doors of the Heichal, the doors of the inner sanctuary of Beis Hamikdash, and before you do that, you're not allowed to bring any korban. Yeah, no korban, no sacrifice can be brought. Yeah, it says Pesach, Pesach Hashem, something Pesach Hashem, Pesach Mishkan. It says you have to have the doors open before you start bringing any korban of the day. Okay, all very nice. Why can't you just open the door? You know, open the door? No. The doors had to be open. They were locked for the night. However, the doors had to be open from the inside. Yeah. Why? We broke our heads until I saw something outside Chochmah. It has to show as if Hashem is opening the doors from the inside. It's Kiviyachal Hashem is there. Yeah. When you open the door of your house, it's open from the inside. You opened it. From the outside, it's the guest who is inviting himself in. So basically, the doors had to be opened from the inside, but it's locked. So what do? No, you didn't have a person sleeping there overnight, if that's what you're suggesting. So what did they do? So the Kohen would come here and would open the door over here. And as we say here, Shechio, Yerd Amas Shechi. There was a door here, yeah, that had to be opened also from the inside. How do you do that? There was a key over here that would open. There was a key like on the corner here, the different opinions. There was a key over there with a door, and he would have to there was an open pishpash, an open small window, which was open. He would actually put his hand and his shechi, his armpit, all the way there to the inside, bending and opening in a tricky way. They did it, I think, for security reasons or something like that, or maybe spiritual, to show that it's not open, and it would only be that one in the north. Yeah, they would open it there. Okay, then he'd go in. Once it opened from the inside, he would go in, and then the second door, 10 amos or so later, there was another door here, which would open kevan. Kevan means straight, easily. So this door would be opened with difficulty on purpose. Walk, I think about 10 amos or so. Open that door easily. Hey, now he's in the inside. From the inside, he's opening the doors. Mazel tov. He's opening the doors like that. The doors are open, and now they can start the work of the day. There was a note. The southern section was closed because that's where the Shechina was. To represent that HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kivyochel is there, nobody enters there. Obviously, symbolically. Okay? So basically, that Mishnah is not an easy Mishnah to understand. Yeah, I remember learning it more than once, and it's hard. So Shmuel says, the one Amoira that explained this Mishnah to me, I tear my clothes when he died because I see him as my rebbi, even though he taught me only one Mishnah. Let's read again. Echad yored lamas hashechi. Yeah, at the beginning, the person would go down with his hand. Lamas hashechi. Maybe it was an ama fur. I don't know. It says ama. With his shechi, all the way till his armpit had to be going into the first lock. Once he opened the tricky one, he went into the top. It's called the top, like a section, and he would be in the section. That second door over here would open easily, and then he would open the ulam, the heichal's door. Very nice. So Mimela, but that Mishnah is not an easy one, and he taught me that Mishnah. I tear my clothes for him. And by the way, this is Shmuel. Whoa. Shmuel was the God of the door. Imagine Reb Chaim Kanievsky tearing his clothes over a regular Avrech who taught him one Mishnah. That's what's going on here, because Shmuel was the man, Shmuel and Rav, both. Shmuel was a dayan, was everything, and even he did that. A quick one, I don't think we'll finish the pack today anyways. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. More about Kovet Talmidei Chachomim. Omar Ula, says Ula. Talmidei Chachamim shebeBavel, the Talmidei Chachamim beBavel, people sit and learning in yeshiva in Bavel, oim din ze mipnei ze, people who were equal to each other, according to some Rishonim, or even people that were older and wiser than the others, as long as they were sitting together and learning in the same bes medrash. You go to regular kollel today, is everyone the same level? No. Yes. In other words, more or less the same level. Some know more, some know less, but they all have the discussion and they all teach each other as they go along. They're all, they all have that mutual teaching, learning from each other, like chavrusa. So although they were generally equal to each other, or some maybe even worth more than the others, they would still stand in honor of the other ones, because although they're the same level, but we just said if you learn one Mishnah from someone, you have to respect him. Well, obviously, it's very, very common. The chavrusa sits down. One of them knows Shabbos very well. He does know Yavamis. The other one knows Yavamis very well, but doesn't know Shabbos. So they help each other, right? So then they stand up for each other. The koirin zel zeh, and ad kedei kach, they would tear their clothes one on the other. Wow, even then. The Tosfos correct the question. It says that whenever a good person is nifter, not a kosher, the person who's good and knowledgeable is nifter, you always have to tear your clothes. So what's the chiddush? Says Tosfos, well, one chiddush is when a person lower than you is nifter, if you're very, very choshev Talmud Chacham and a lower Talmud Chacham is nifter, you don't have to tear. Here they tore even though he was lower. That's a chiddush. Even though he was lower, one would be lower than the other because he taught me something. In the Besmedrash, sometimes the young Avrech happens to know about Stam or Kashrus or something more than the Spitzy 5-star guy. So even the 5-star guy, in Bavel, they would tear on each other. Now, something really, really cool, the Rishonim, I think, somebody says, why Bavel? Why not in Eretz Yisrael? So listen to this. They say like this. In Eretz Yisrael, they had smicha. So then they would have a very clear cutoff point. They would have a very clear definition. Who's a Talmud Chacham who made it? Yes, smicha. So Mimela, somebody who didn't have smicha, in Eretz Yisrael, they would not stand up for. If you have smicha, they stand up for you. That was the standard. In Bavel, there was no smicha. So you don't know. Maybe this guy really deserves smicha, but he didn't get it because he never gave smicha. So Safik Daraisa L'chumra. Maybe really this guy deserves COVID like a smicha guy, but he didn't get it because you don't give those certificates. Mimela, that they stood up for each other always. Now, however, Ulinin Aveda, Bimkom Aviv, Einan Choizlin, Elal Rabbi Muvhak. However, even those Talmidei Chachamim in Babel, which had so much respect for each other, and they always stood up for each other, and they always tore the clothes. However, one thing they would not give the Aveda of any fellow Avrech before the father. For that, it has to be Rabbi Muvhak. Remember Siman Muvhak? Muvhak means the unique. The one, says Rashi, the Muvhak, Sharov Chachmasa Imenu. Yeah, Muvhak, I'm not sure if Rashi says it or others, Rov Chachmas Mimeno, like Rabbi Yehuda, right? Rabbi Yehuda says, who's your rebbi that overrides your father? Only the one that most of your chachma you learned from. So then, if it's about standing up or tearing the clothes, why not? Be mechabed your friend. But to say your friend is more than your father, no. But that he has to be someone whom you learned most of your chachma from, and that's not every avreich from his friend. No, that's already a different story. Kaboy minei Rav Chisda Rav Huna. Oh, sad story. Story time, sad story. Rav Chisda asked Rav Huna, and let's assume now that Rav Chisda was the Talmid, the disciple of Rav Huna. Rav Chisda is asking his rebbi Rav Huna a question. Talmid, the tzorich loy rabbi. What would be if the person is a Talmid? Yeah, he's definitely a student, a Talmid, and the tzorich loy rabbi. His rebbi needs him. What does it mean? His rebbi needs him? Which means sometimes, as we see many times in the Gemara, sometimes Talmidim would know a certain brisa more than the Rebbe. It can happen, right? Sometimes you know things more than the rabbi. Very good. Many times, the Rebbe knows 90% more. Sometimes the Talmid, he happened to hear a shmua. Right, I think that means questions and the give and take. Here we're talking about information. Let's say there's a Talmid who's not very knowledgeable, but he knows from Rav Elyashiv, he knows Psakim from Rav Elyashiv. So he tells the Rabbi, Rabbi, Rav Elyashiv said so and so. Oh, the Rebbe didn't know. So also in the Gemara, it happens all the time. the Talmidim quote Brises to the Rabbeim. If you follow the Gemara closely, we see it many, many times. What would be inside my? The question is what? Do we say that, that maybe now the rebbi, do we say that that rebbi is more than the father of that guy? Get the question? In other words, in order to be a rebbi that overrides my father, my own father, who fathered me, you have to be a real big shot, real rebbi. But if the person is a rebbi that sometimes the Talmud knows better, what would be the case then? Now, you know what Rav Chizda thought? You know what Rav Huna thought by hearing the question? I saw in the Meforshim that there was some incident like that between Rav Huna and Rav Chizda themselves. So Rav Huna thought that it's getting personal. Rav Huna thought it's a personal question and not a theoretical one. Omerle. So now Rav Huna replies to Rav Chizda, Chizda, lo tzrich nalach. I don't need you. At tzrichas li. You need me. I don't need you. In your case, that's not a question. However, Talmidei Chachamim were very sensitive, dafka because of their kedusha, dafka because of their high level. Look what happened here, a crisis. Adar boim shoni nikpadi adodi. Up to 40 years, they were makpid on each other. Yeah, it takes a person sometimes 40, it says the Gemara in different places, 40 years to understand what his rabbi said. Right? It says, Bnei Israel, at the end of the journey in the desert, Moshe says, now you understand what I told you 40 years ago. So basically, 40 years they were, how shall I say, both, ahadodi, both. Vilo aili legabe adodi, they did not enter each other, they did not, I don't know if they didn't speak to each other, but they didn't go to each other's houses or shiurim, they did not relate to each other for 40 years. Soon you'll see why. It wasn't exactly mutual anger, and you're going to get it now. Yosef Rav Chizda arboin ta'anisa. Rav Chizda 40 times he fasted. He fasted 40 fasts, mishum decholish daite de Rav Huna, which means Rav Chizda said, oy, I feel so bad. He wasn't angry with his rabbi. He felt bad. He felt guilty. Oy, Rav Huna, I made Rav Huna upset. I'm sitting, I can't see him because I feel bad. I feel shemtzach to see my rabbi who is upset with me, and I'm even sitting and being betainis. On the other side, on the other hand, Yosef Rav Huna, the rabbi also fasted 40 times, and some people say it was every year there was one tainis, according to some. Yosef Rav Huna arboin ta'anisa mishum dechashdi Rav Chizda, because he suspected Rav Chizda, he felt bad. Oh, why did they suspect him? So for 40 years he did not see him. So there's mutual, fear and feeling bad. The Bala Musar say how much you have to care about your friend's covet. They felt they were hurting each other's covet, and because of that, they fasted 40 times. I don't understand why they didn't just communicate with each other. It would be easier. I don't know. I didn't see an answer. Because really it was a misunderstanding. You could have told him, I didn't mean you, Loida. Maybe it didn't mean Loida. But there was a very, very big, disconnection out of feeling bad for maybe hurting the other person. Either suspecting or, on the other hand, hurting his feelings. Itma. It says 40 of 40 years. Here I think it says 40. Yeah. Numbers are only guzma when it's 13 million mentioned, Aliyah was 13 places. That's a guzma. Here it could be 40 years. Some people live to 120 years. Itma. Now the question is, we had 3 opinions regarding who's called a rebbe enough to override the father. Itma. Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef Omar Rabbi Yochanan Halacha Rabbi Yehuda. What did Rabbi Yehuda say? Rabbi Yehuda said, the one who taught you most of your chokhmah. The guy is a very big buck in Chumash. Misken, good, you learned Chumash, very nice, but he never learned Mishnah or Gemara. Who taught him Chumash? Well, 60% of his Chumash was taught by Rav Schwarzenfeldberg. Yeah, so Rav Schwarzenfeldberg, that's his rabbi for life. That's it. He has to respect him more than the father. That's what Rabbi Yehuda says. Rav Acha bar Rav Huna Omer Rav Sheshes Halacha ke Rabbi Yosi. Yeah, he says no. Halacha Rabbi Yosi that what? Even if he enlightened you, that's the word. To Hesed was to enlighten. Oh, he enlightened him regarding even one Mishnah. You have to respect him so much, even more than your father. Not like they did in Bavel. Frag the Gemara, wait a second. What did the first opinion said? Rabbi Yochanan said, Allah is a Rabbi Yehuda. Who's the one that we're missing here, my friends? The first opinion, remember? The first opinion was Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir said, the one who taught you what? Only Gemara. Litvish, Yeshivish. Only the one who taught you Gemara. He's the Rebbe. Nobody else. The other ones are nice, good, but not the one who's the Rebbe. Frag the Gemara, Umiyam Rabbi Yochanan Hachi. Did Rabbi Yochanan really tell you to follow the opinion of Yehuda? Is that so? It's a very famous line. Rabbi Yochanan says through Shas, whenever a Mishnah says something anonymously without mentioning a name, that means that's the halacha. And Vetnan, as I already prepared you before, who is our Mishnah hinting to be agreeing with? It says in the Mishnah, Rabba Shalim de Chochma. Chochma. What's Chochma? What's in real terms Chochma Gemara? So you see the Mishnah, very good. Follows Rabbi, besides the fact it's Mishnah Rabbi Meir, here it's even more. It sounds like the Mishnah follows Rabbi Meir, and you, Rabbi Yochanan, tell me to always follow the Stam Mishnah. Rabbi Yochanan, why did you switch sides? Why are you telling me now, Rabbi Yehuda, that Rav Chachma soy, even if it's Mishnah or Chumash? And says the Gemara, no, you don't understand the Mishnah. My Chachma, Rav Chachma soy, which means when the Mishnah said Rav Rabbi Shalim the Chachma, it doesn't necessarily mean the Chachma. It's a question of subjective and objective. It doesn't mean what's considered objectively the real Chachma, which is Gemara. No, it means Chachma is Chachma. Maybe all he knows is, one Masechta Mishnayos. He knows Brachos. He knows one Mishnayos. That's very nice. So the one who taught him Brachos, that's his rebbi. Yeah, that is what we think. When we said in Mishnah Chachma, we meant really Rabbi Yehuda, any Chachma that he has. And that's the one he has to respect even more than the father. And by the way, that's halacha. Halacha is, Rashi says, either Chumash. The Rambam, I think, says the one who taught him most of the Chachma, most of his Chachma. I didn't see the Rambam inside. I saw it quoted. It's something along the lines of the one who taught you, in today's terms, they explain the Rambam, the one who taught you how to learn. Yeah, let's say you go to yeshiva, they're learning to teach you the techniques of how to learn. They teach you the techniques of how to learn. They're not just the one who taught you more material, the one who taught you the Aramaic words and the ways and the tzvei dinim and the chakiras and the lomdus, that's the one who's your rebbi. According to some people, how they interpret the Rambam, who interprets Rabbi Yehuda. Your wisdom, what you have in your mind, your tools about to learn. It's not halacha shir, as I said all the times. Yes. Okay, we're not going to finish the parak, so we might as well have a question. Yeah. Yeah. We learned a lot today about Mishnah Gemara, Chumash Mishnah Gemara. Tomorrow, Metzia Hashem, since we didn't finish the parak, we're going to learn and we're going to read Rashi inside. He explains beautifully what is Gemara all about, really. And I love your definition, Yaakov. You said something very true. Chumash and Mishnah may be very important. Chumash is every word from Hashem. But Chumash and Mishnah are raw materials that without the Gemara you don't understand. Mishnah for sure. Mishnahs are full of misunderstandings and mistakes that were placed there on purpose. Really, Mishnah is Bekias and Gemara is Iyun. Gemara means to really understand the Mishnah. If you just parrot Mishnahs, you don't understand what you're saying. Yeah? Unless you learn the Gemara on the Mishnah or the Bertanur and the Tiferes Yisrael who summarize the Gemara for you. Thank you. Very, very good. It's very true, the definition. Mishnah and Chumash are raw materials, and Gemara is the real process of how to build it all together. And the final product is halacha. Halacha, Ashkafa, Musar, they come out of the Gemara. Gemara is where you take all the raw materials and you bake the cake, you make the product. Whatever is before Chumash and Mishnah are raw materials. What comes out of the oven, out of the factory, is the product which you learn from the Gemara, which is halacha. The Sfarim afterwards, halacha, Musar, Ashkafa, whatever you have. So Gemara is it. Gemara is where the real things really happen. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Shkoch, have a great day. Terrific. Hatzlacha Rabba.